WebAssembly is creating a game over situation for any other software delivery model. And here's why. If I want to run my private data with your untrusted code, the ideal way for me to do that is by using WebAssembly. And that's because WebAssembly is sandboxed, and I know my data is not going to leave the sandbox to go and be exfiltrated anywhere. The problem becomes the front end, but I have a solution for that. I've been working on an experimental framework I call RDX. RDX, Rust's developer experience, Rye markdown extensions, really good experiment, whatever you want to call it. It's written in pure JavaScript. So pure JavaScript, listen to me. Freudian slip. That's when you say one thing, but you're actually thinking about another. It's written in pure Rust. There's no JavaScript. The first time I tried to do this was in a framework called Werbo, which was using the JavaScript component, the JCO language for the WebAssembly component model. But anyway, had a bunch of JavaScript bindings. It was a pain. RDX is pure Rust, which means we don't have to worry about any JavaScript vulnerabilities. The other great thing is it works on both platforms, desktop and web. The other great thing, which, kind of ties into the WebAssembly experience, is it's extensible. The other neat thing about WebAssembly is because you can run untrusted code, you can bring code from anywhere and plug it in. So RDX is meant to be a WebAssembly plugin runner, if you will. And you can bring your own programs, you can bring your own extensions. All of those are compiled to WebAssembly and run trustlessly. The part that I kind of alluded to over here was traditionally WebAssembly, you're just talking about functions. And functions, the problem is there's no front end. Nobody wants to run a CLI. I built RDX as an experiment in full stack. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. It's fast because it's written in WebAssembly. Rye is also very fast. It's a beautiful, elegant eGUI, E-frame front end. Everything you need is in one package. There's a web demo, which I'll demonstrate in a minute here. So what is RDX? Well, for those of you who aren't Rust fans, this is pretty much the Rust you'll have to write. Okay, this kind of looks like JSX for you JavaScript React fans out there. And the rest of this, the logic is Rye. So basically up here I have, if there's no defined count variable, show this stuff first. And then if there is a count, just show this template. So it's all template based, XML style, HTML style. And then what happens is these increment and decrement functions are the WebAssembly themselves. So you get the WebAssembly sandboxing, but RDX brings the front end encapsulation of that WebAssembly to the web and desktop, which is really, really cool. So like I said, it's built on top of eGUI, and there's a little demo here if you open it up. And there's a couple of really neat things here. I'll start with the counter. So you can see the counter, the state is 0. Well, let me make sure I'm in the right frame here. The count is 0. If I increment it, it goes up and down. Wonderful. If I go back to 0, it actually goes back to start counting. This is a really other neat function here. You can actually generate random numbers as well, which if you're familiar with WebAssembly, it's pretty tough to do. If you want to try to generate random number with the rand crate, it doesn't work well with WebAssembly target wasm 32 unknown because wasm bind gen is not available as an import with the component model. I'll have to do a separate video on that. But yeah, so all of these are essentially plugins that I've experimented in the RDX framework. So what I'm really excited to do with this is now I can run my data with your RDX plugin that you bring. The other really cool thing about this is if you don't like this front end, the way it looks, all you have to do is go back to this template here between sort of the vertical and the buttons, and you can rearrange them or format them. Now, RDX is obviously in a very early stage of development. There's not a whole lot of functionality going on here, but as we go, we'll add styling and functioning and placement and other features to that. But really, really excited about this. Check it out. Give it a star right up here. Star, boom. And let me know what you think.